So welcome to Beyond I Do.
Yeah.
We got Pastor Aaron in the house with his own custom merchandise, that daily drip, that daily drizzle.
He got a Nike drip. He got the Nike Swish drip.
Give your joint a little shout out. When is the Daily Drip podcast dropping in January?
January 1st.
January 1st.
Hey.
Yes.
Weekly podcast.
Weekly podcast.
I love it because you're doing really devotionals.
Yes.
Podcast through the scriptures.
Yes.
Love
Drip
that.
stands for devotional reading for insight and practice.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So
Drip.
So,
I learned something new
studious.
today.
Drip, drip.
I should probably wrote that down.
I got to be in a few of his episodes, and I would end my episodes with "Stay drippy, my friends."
That's why you're not over it.
So he's gonna. So as he extends his merch line, I'm gonna need one of the merches, and we'll go 50-50 on profits. That's the businessman in me, and we'll do a "Stay drippy, my friends," line at a Mesa shirt.
I would love like a caricature. Oh my God. Yeah.
Caricature.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Caricature.
Caricature of like Aaron doing it like with like a water drip, like a drip.
I just need him to have like holy oil in his hands, and like drip, 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 drip,
Drippity drip.
like the Catholic
Holy
Church, drip,
oil.
drip, on the cross with the cross.
When they like spray you.
Yeah,
with all that
I hit you with that drip.
Did you ever get that?
Yes.
She stayed with getting.
I'm like, give it to me.
Oh, God.
She's like, y'all got a bath with that shit in the back or anything?
I'm like, where's the line for the wine to drink the wine?
You never did this. You're always.
No, because even my mom would make me be like, just go up there and cross your hands, and I'm like, okay, and then I'd go up there and be like,
Bruh.
Did you let him pour it in your mouth?
I never liked it in my mouth because I felt like I was a dog, like getting a treat.
Oh,
Yeah. And then we got Pastor Aaron's wife, Erica, in the house.
Yay!
Certified.
I made it back.
I know.
been invited back.
Me and Ashlee played rock, paper, scissors in order to get you back.
Hey,
I lost.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Squid Games. Squid Games.
If my wife offends you, I apologize on behalf of the Levy family.
He apologized on Daily Drip.
So tune in January 1st.
Erica is a registered nurse practitioner.
Yes.
So she gives me all of my shots.
But she's
Yes.
also a travel agent.
Yes.
And
Yes.
she's also an aspiring theologian.
Yes.
Yes.
She also can do
she's
your
also-
Botex.
Botox.
Botox
Get it right.
and,
Botox?
and taxes.
And taxes.
Oh, you're a CPA. Yeah. That's great. Yeah.
No, I'm not a CPA. I do my own. We do our own tax.
Oh,
I do
okay.
our taxes.
Yeah, that's it's gonna need to change with all that daily drip.
No, I
All that
fired
drip.
myself.
Yeah,
As soon as he's like, I got to start this corporation, I was like, okay, I'm not doing taxes no more.
I can't remember how the conversation went, but as you were pursuing the book, I think I don't know how it went, but I think I texted you one day and I was like, yo, you got a tax guy?
Yes, yeah,
and then,
we did, yeah,
And
for
then you're
sure.
like, oh yeah, Erica does it. I was like, now that you're starting this
recommendations.
business, let me send you some CPAs for Uncle Sam come knocks on that door.
Literally. I'll be like, I think we could write this off, Aaron.
Erica will buy like a Reese's Pieces bar and be like, oh,
Write-off.
that's a write-off. That was
Her
that was
blood
work
sugar
lunch.
was a little high.
Erica had her own business when she was a single mom.
Yes.
Okay.
It was a
she was-
nonprofit.
Yeah.
Yo, it was a non-profit. So I shouldn't. It wasn't okay. Well, let me. So
It was a nonprofit.
she was supporting Eileen's cheerleading. So she said, I might as well turn this into a business. It was called Stars Unlimited. They had merch and everything. So this was during the time when Guitar Band came out.
Yeah.
Guitar Hero.
Guitar Hero
yeah.
came out. And so she just came home with Guitar Hero. I said, oh, we bought this. She was like, oh, no, it's on the company. I said, what does this have
was
to do with cheering?
For when I
She
brought
was-
the girls over, like
Community building.
camaraderie,
Exactly.
yes.
And then sure enough, Aaron's over there. Dang,
Yeah,
the kids are gonna love this. Let me set it up. That's
That was not no nonprofit.
It was a nonprofit.
That
Got
is
it.
hilarious.
How do you
Got
think?
it.
You want to know where we got most
She
of
didn't
our
make
money?
a single profit.
I didn't.
Not
It was a
profit.
nonprofit.
Now that's
We
accurate.
used to make
The fireworks stands.
The fireworks stand. So you had to
remember
be a nonprofit, and that's where we made all of our money.
Got it.
Wow.
Fireworks dance.
Selling
We,
fireworks.
single mothers are savvy, bro. They're gonna make it make
fireworks?
sense.
Yeah, back in the day.
Good grief. What haven't you done?
Well,
Jeez. Moving on.
man, I had my last podcast was so holy. Talked about being in the industry and giving your life to the Lord. And we prayed at one point. We had thought reflections.
Oh gosh.
And now we're here.
Yeah. Yeah.
At Beyond I Do. So
Where the fun happens.
yeah. Where Corey has to cut out and bleep a third of the things.
Clack, clack.
All right. Well, are we going with that question?
We're serious.
Are we going with that question?
Yes, go ahead, Nancy.
Okay,
it's a
so
good one.
As always, we get questions that are submitted to us, and we really want to come alongside people and be part of your community and walk alongside, not particularly tell you what to do in your circumstances, but give our own thoughts on how we would approach something or do something as people who love the Lord and are in God's church. So there was a question a couple weeks ago. Nancy shared it with Ashlee and I looked at it right away and I said, well, we might want to do that with Aaron and Erica or Nathan and Sanaz because it's very raw. It's a person's raw marriage.
Really.
And so I think it takes a little more. I think it needs a lot of angles of conversation towards it. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's not that it's an impossible answer. It's just that it's a very unique circumstance that people may find themselves in.
Okay.
There's some parts where everyone can relate to, and then there's other parts that like, oh, not everyone will relate to.
Okay.
But you know, what advice could we give to this individual who's kind of having some of these issues? So I'm just building up to ultimately say we didn't choose it for a reason because we just want to be able to have that in a good company of circle to converse about it, see what we all think, you know?
Yeah.
So buckle up.
Yeah,
Nancy.
sounds like I need to.
Yeah, so
Nancy has the question.
yes, brace yourself because it is a little long, but
Yeah.
here we go. So it says, my husband and I have always had sex at least every other night. We would watch TV together. And after we had sex before bed, a year before we got married, he cheated for 9 months while I was pregnant with our second. That was 6 years ago. He blamed it all on me. He said that I didn't keep myself up anymore and that I smelled. My hormones were all over the place from breastfeeding our first child. I still married him, but now 6 years after I still haven't gotten over that comment. And he still continues to blame me for other stuff. I want him to have a plan for our future, and he just constantly body shames me. He tells me that if I looked better, that he would step up and do better. But I also feel like what have you done since cheating to try to win me back? He thinks just because he's home, not communicating with me, just on his phone or PlayStation, that I should be happy. I want to be better for myself, but having a husband who constantly blames me for our struggles and body shames me and doesn't take me out on dates doesn't make me want to work out for him. Am I wrong to feel this way? It feels like a constant blame game and we are stuck.
Wow. Wait. Just to make sure I understand. He cheated on her
Before
and
they got
then
married.
they got married.
Yes, correct.
Noted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which
That's a
that
whole
aside, like that's a very common occurrence, not the cheating part, but of the people who are not pursuing healthy relationships in the dating phase, and then they go through some type of difficulty, whether it be a pregnancy, someone cheating or whatever, and then they think, well, the fix will be a more permanent commitment.
Marriage.
And we'll get married, and then I think that'll solve our problems. Yeah. And, you know, I know other married couples, too, who, like, then they're married now, and then they have all those same issues, and then they think, well, the fix is we're not a family yet, so let's start having children, because then that'll solve it. And, you know, we know ultimately those thoughts are missing the mark of what the real issues are. So I want Aaron's raw emotions.
Yeah, because I'm processing. There's a whole lot in that question.
And I'm going to get my water while he answers.
Thank you. That is a tough situation that this woman is facing. It's heartbreaking. It's heart-wrenching. Do we know this person? Like, are we dialoguing with this person? Is this an anonymous question?
It's anonymous.
Just anonymous. So
Yeah.
that's the
Sometimes people put their names, but
Okay,
Yeah.
it's anonymous.
so I think that's the goal of Beyond the Letter, Beyond I Do is you bring the question, we bring the conversations with the hopes of that this multiplies so that they
Yeah.
would have other married couples at their kitchen table that they could process things with. Because now we have we can give answers based upon what we know,
Right.
but not off the full context of the person, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, you're going to have to fill the gaps
Yeah.
with hypotheticals.
Yes.
A lot of
yeah.
hypotheticals.
And when a person is not in community or don't have their marriage in community, it gets limited to answers like this
100%.
without knowing context.
100%.
I will first start off by saying that sorry to this woman that's going through this situation. My wife brought up a very good point. This happened before we got married, then we got married. But then I think later in the question, she says, what is he going to do to win me back?
Right.
So there's a mindset shift of like, I stayed with you, but you still need to fight for, so that's not fair for either one.
Right.
So it's either I can move forward and be free from that, but if I choose to stay, I've chosen to stay because I value this relationship, we can get over this, et cetera, et cetera. But it seems like there, from her perspective, because I don't know his perspective, from her perspective, not only were there issues in the past that I think she is still processing what forgiveness looks like, it seems from her dialogue that he's not making that forgiveness journey easy either.
Right, right.
He may be making that harder. So what Pastor Adam said before we even started this is, hey, we will give answers based upon Christian values.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the man has Christian values. The woman said, I've body shamed twice. So for me, Erica has given me children, two becoming one. So till death do us part. I don't have in my framework of thinking that Erica's body has to look a certain way for me to treat her a certain way.
That's good. Right. Right.
So from a husband's perspective, and I think husbands have to hang around husbands that have the same values. From a husband's perspective, my goal is to treat my wife how God treats me.
Right.
If I don't know God, I don't really resonate with how God treats me.
Right.
And then I'm just going to want a wife that culture tells me I deserve.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's always going to change. What it could sound like, because I haven't heard from the man, I'm hearing from the woman that's in pain, that they're fighting over past issues, and in those past issues, they're stuck because they keep blaming each other. She wants him to demonstrate remorse, which is powerful in the forgiveness journey. But I don't know what his pain is. And the challenge is sometimes men don't even know what their pain is and why they're responding in certain ways. And maybe, okay, I'm going to push this back on you. You stink. Your body's this. Just from anger,
right.
Not from honesty. Or I'm going to say these things so the heat is no longer on me.
Yeah.
Right.
I just want the argument to be over, so it's your fault. I think that so it's just petty. I think love is still there because the question is there. I think love fades once a person gets indifferent. But since there's a long dialogue, we're stuck, we used to have sex every other day, we're fighting, there's love there, but I don't think love is enough to stay married.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
A couple has to have the same values to stay married, and that this couple needs accountability.
Yeah.
They need safe places to process where they're really at and follow up on the things that you committed to do for your wife. How are you doing with those things? Hey, the things you committed to do for your husband, have you forgiven him?
Right.
Since you've forgiven him, why does he have to fight for you still today?
Right.
Those type of things.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
What you got, Erica?
Well, we had a circumstance one time. We sat down with a couple, and it was the wife leading to want to meet with me and Ashlee, and it was a lot. Now again, like you're saying, like there's a lot of holes in this, and we don't really know everything, so we can try to come and hit at it at all sides that we can. So I'll right now come at it with one side, and then we'll come back around and we'll come at another side. But we had this a wife who was like consistent, like I gotta meet with you guys, I gotta meet with you guys. So we took a meeting with her and her husband, and leading up to it, it was a lot of like, because my husband's a deadbeat, he don't make effort, he don't try, he don't, all these things like that. And they had they were in previous marriages too before, so a lot of that, like, that's your kid, these are my kids, that kind of stuff. And so we go to sit down. Now, mind you, we probably have had 3 or 4 conversations just in between services with just the wife. And we had this whole picture that the husband is just this like complete loof
Okay.
You know, because same thing. He just plays video games. He just this. He just that. He blah, 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 blah. And then we sit down with them, and within, 20 minutes, the husband's breaking down crying, going like, the only reason why I do all that is because I can't stand you. Like you, it's like, and he just break down teary eyed, and he's like, cause I do this and it's never good enough for you. And you're just on me and you're just on me and you're on me. And I come home and I try to support this family financially. And I try to do this. And me and Ashlee are just sitting there and we're like, oh my gosh, she is beating this man emotionally to a pulp.
Yeah.
And because he'll be like, oh, okay. She'll be like, and you need to start doing this. And he'll be like, okay, I'll do it. And she's like, well, don't forget, if you're going to do that, this needs to, and it was just
got it.
Always like, because he's like, remember, you told me you want me to take you on a dates. Did I not take you last week? And she's like, well, yeah, but the waiter experience was terrible. And it's like, all of a sudden, he just couldn't win. He could never win. Yeah. And man, it's tough love to look at someone and say, hey, you need to look in the mirror and you need to ask yourself what, like, cause she's just talking about, he says I smell and he wants me to change. Like, well, that could just not be it. Like you're saying, like, that could be just what he's saying to end the conversation. Yeah. Right. Cause like you're talking about going to the gym and other stuff. Like you should go to the gym or focus on your fitness for yourself, like not your husband. Yeah. So you're saying like, well, I'm not going to go to the gym till he starts doing blank and blank. Like you shouldn't do anything
for sure.
Just because when it comes to health, right? Yeah. You shouldn't do anything because it's my husband. You should do it for you. Because I'll tell you this, like if your relationship, which I see very common, is like we would never want that to happen. But if your relationship ended, you would probably find yourself back at the gym. New me, I'm gonna work on myself. I'm gonna do, I don't got a man anymore. I'm gonna, and it's like, it's like, why don't you start right now? Yeah. Why don't you start new me, new you, healthy you?
Or that person is doing that because they think, I have to do this to get new attention, to get a new man or to get a new woman.
Bounce back and all that kind of stuff like that. Yeah. And so your mentality and perspective is huge. And oftentimes, like to what you're saying, Aaron, like the way we communicate is sometimes it could be that is the problem. And if you address it, it could be solved. But oftentimes that's not. Just think about this. There are very few people who are totally comfortable to tell their spouse everything that's on their mind. So it's safe to assume whatever they do tell you, there's probably one other layer of what they, unless they're just trying to completely break your heart and just tear you down. But like if they're trying to provide feedback, just know there's probably, like an onion, there's probably one or two more other layers that they're saying this is actually really the issue. And they may know it or they may not. But to say like, yeah, go to the gym and start bathing in rose oil and stuff like that, and I'm gonna love you again, like that's not gonna happen. And for her to say he needs to just do blank and blank and then I'll love him again, that's not what it is. That's not what's gonna happen. There's a lot of pain in there. There's a lot of trauma. He has his own side of the story. We don't know why he cheated, nor there's, well, number one, they were dating, so that I don't really consider cheating a thing in dating because there's no commitment. That like a lollipop ring, you gave them. Like you could be grown dating. Like there's just, to me, there's no commitment other than you saying you're my boyfriend, you're my girlfriend. So yeah, theoretically that's cheating, but that's also someone who you didn't supply something in the moment. They went and found it from someone else. It's not that that's morally good, but even what they were doing with you wasn't morally good. So from a Christian perspective, right? Okay. So to get married and think, oh, because we did the noble thing and we got married, so therefore, whether they did that as Christians or not, but to morally say, well, marriage is the right thing, we should do that, and then doing that will fix what it is that our issue is, that's not going to be the case. For sure. Because you still have the two humans that were a part of what the previous mistake was. And unless those two humans address their own shortcomings and our own sin and our own falling short and our own selfishness in the relationship, like until you could look at that man and woman in the mirror, then there's really no way you can get to a healthy place. Because if I ask Ashlee to change tomorrow, but the issue really is me, then she could change it, and guess what? The marriage isn't going to change. Right. Because the issue's me. Yeah. And they don't realize that, but it's like the issue is most of the time it's something we're going through, an insecurity, a pain, a trauma, an anger, an unforgiveness, or whatever that is. And then we just project it on our partner. And we're just like, well, really what I'm going through is you. And it's like, if there's every day, like, Ashlee, I just need space. She's like, okay, I'll give you space. I'll be, when you coming home? Because it really wasn't that I needed space. It was just that I didn't know how to deal with my emotions that day.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm thinking space is what I need. And then I get it. And I'm like, wait, so where are you and the kids? Maybe I'll come stop by. You know, you're like, you realize like, no, I don't think that's what it was. I just, but I'm not, we're not always emotionally intelligent enough to know how to solve what our emotions are going through. We know they're there, but our intelligence is telling us, I think it will fix if it solves this way. And some people even do that in marriage. Like, I think this feeling I'm feeling will feel better if I leave this marriage. And then you leave the marriage and you're like, maybe I could stop by and see the kids. Maybe we can have dinner again. And the spouse is like, what are you doing? And really what they don't know how to say is, I had it all wrong. That's not like leaving this marriage was not what I had in mind. You know, sometimes that's the case, you know, but we just don't know how to define why our emotions are where they're at. You know,
That's a good point.
Yeah, I think the hard part right now is like the filling in the gaps of like even their now, because what she's saying is like he's at home, they're not communicating from what it sounds like from the message. All he does is stay on his PlayStation or his phone. So, I mean, Aaron brought up a great point as far as like, where's your community and who are you talking this through with? Just because I think that like the missing hole is like, what does your today look like? Like, what does it look like when you get home? Are you guys having these conversations? Are you still sitting up at night and playing house in the sense of, but you are miserable together? So I think that's the sad part, because I think, like you said, it's two parties who are at this point on two polar opposite islands, but they're trying to make it work by being intimate, but that's really not the case. And it really comes down to your accountability, where your walk is with Christ in this moment. Are you plugged in church? Go to Forward. Go in a neighborhood group. But I think it's a healing process too that they both have to take, because the healing process has to take too from her, because she had stated that he was cheating on her when she was 9 months, like 9 months of pregnancy. That's the whole time.
He cheated on her while she was pregnant?
Well,
I
she was
missed that
pregnant.
part.
She was pregnant in the beginning.
Oh.
So she was pregnant. So
well, there were, you know, we're being up, not where me, maybe I was being on her a little bit, but like she should have left him a long time ago.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Now, I was speaking more towards now you're married, now you want to figure it out as best as you can. But in those moments, like, because they weren't married when she was pregnant,
no,
he was cheating?
No.
Because it's before marriage. That's why I did
a
it.
year before.
Yeah, she should have
been
walked
done
away
with it.
from it.
Yes, because
you know?
there was clear signs of just obviously the uninterest of even in the relationship, but then the uninterest of even taking this further to marriage. So whatever played out between that time of her having the baby to them getting married, of who they were consulting with, who they were finding vision or insight from.
Well, if they're Latino, then I don't know for sure, but if they're Hispanic, it's you got pregnant, the only right thing to do is be married, or God will throw you in hell.
And
it's
I was going to say, this is the
you know.
second child. So when she was pregnant with her second.
Got it. So they already had one.
They already had one.
Yeah. So
they've been together for a long time.
Gotcha.
And then it said we're having sex every other day. I don't know if that's today. I don't know if that was a rhythm she misses.
Right.
Well, the question is, and so. Yeah, and so some of the statements I would revoke depending on the conversation, like boyfriend, girlfriend. That's if they're living together, that's a little different. That you are acting married, but in that sense. But yeah, when they were having the sex every other day, like were they living together? Were they in the dating phase? Because when you're in dating phase, everybody in the dating phase, whether you're a Christian, it's the honeymoon phase. If you're not a Christian and you don't believe in that ethic morality, then you're in the dating phase, and then you're just always hooking up with each other and stuff like that. And then that wonder at some point, it fades away. Yeah. Very few people, you know, are you going to meet people 10 years in and be like, the honeymoon, you know, physical nature is still there. And God willing, you have a resurgence of that at some point in your marriage too. That can happen. But in the sense of like, if they were in the dating phase, fooling around, having sex every other day, then I wouldn't necessarily consult that side of the relationship within their marriage right now. Yeah. You know? I agree. Like if I was speaking to a couple that was married and they're like, you know, 4 or 5 years in and they're like, we're not having sex every day or every other day like we did our first year of marriage. I'd be like, hey guys, it's very normal. Even I talk to newlyweds sometimes, and they'll be like, you know, I know one other young newlywed couple, the wife messaged you and was like, we missed today having sex. Like, is that a bad thing? Like, did we? And they were only married like for 4 or 5 months. And she's like, did we drop the ball that we missed today? And Ashlee was like, what? No, you know.
Take a break.
Two little bunnies.
Right.
But I think, but it goes to your point of like, it's hard to establish a rhythm and look in your spouse's eyeballs and just being safe enough to share how you really feel or what you really want. Because there's a lot of relational risk there. I can get rejected here. So instead of that, I go off of what's appropriate. And then I'll use what's appropriate. Hey, this is appropriate. We should do this. As opposed to just being vulnerable. Hey, this is what I really want. This is what I really need. No. Pastor said, this is what we
to do.
I
guess the biggest thing that I'm missing from this question is I don't know if they're believers or not, right? It didn't really specify.
I'm assuming they're, let's just say at minimum, they're churchgoers.
Okay.
Because if they're watching Beyond I Do, they either in our community or related to our community in some way, shape, or form. So
I'm in agreement with how you said, like, in the beginning, the cheating happened while she was pregnant. The duration of her pregnancy, I'm not sure. But that moving forward with marriage was not going to solve the issues that were going on before. And like you said, in a Latino family, like, you got to get married. Or I mean, when you're in love and you're young and in love, you think that's what you need to do next, right? You've had 2 kids. He did this. But the one thing that she needs to work through is her forgiveness. Because this is 7 years later, right? Because that was like a year before they got married. They've been married 6 years. And so 7 years of her, I'm still not able to let go of what he did in the past. So she is still not forgiven him. So moving forward in a marriage with unforgiveness, then you're going to keep, who knows what she's telling him, right? Like, maybe he is in his PlayStation or whatever he's playing, because who knows what he's been hearing through the 6 years of unforgiveness. Right? Like, the one thing that I know that changed for me is when I got saved is I had to see my husband, not as my husband alone, but as the son of Christ, right? He's a son of Christ or a son of God. And I had to remember to treat him as my brother. Versus like just only my husband. So I had to remind myself before, when I was not saved, like just throwing all these things at him and whatever I would say to him to make him feel worthless, it piles up and it piles up over the years. And once you have a new lens, once through the lens of forgiveness, you start to see someone in a new, with a different perspective, right? With the new lens. So she definitely needs to work through her unforgiveness. Number one, they need counseling.
Oh, for sure. You need to go to counseling. In this case,
if you want,
if they would both need it, and like, and in that case, like, people are always looking for someone to prove that they're sorry, especially in the case of some type of adultery or something like that. Like, if you choose, obviously the pain is there and you have to work through the pain, but if you choose to forgive the person you're with and you choose to move forward, well, then you have to choose to forgive and forget. Right. Like that's a choice that has to be made. And over time, it will become easier and easier. It's just like a wound. You get a wound, a scrape, a scar. Like, at some point, it'll fade away. And you can never guarantee at what point it'll fade away, because I don't know how many times you're going to pick at the scab. Right. So if you pick at the scab and every week, every day, like, let's just say one time, it hasn't happened in 8 years, but let's just say 1 year I forget at our anniversary. And then Ashlee calls me out on it. And then the next week, she starts calling me Mr. Amnesia. And which wouldn't be far pressed from our relationship, right? And then a month later, she's like, hey, don't forget your son's games, because you know how you be forgetting everything. Like, at some point, like...
Apparently that
are you counseling us?
Like, are you talking to me?
Yeah. Hold on. Erica's like, we need a heal right now. Let's have a moment.
Let's pray.
Yeah. Let's pray. The Aaron thing. But at some point, it no longer becomes a funny jab, because there's like some men and women that I'll be around, I'll be working with them, and then they'll still call their spouse jokingly, like, yeah, because it's like fresh from an adultery and they'll call them like, yeah, cheater or whatever, and they're trying to make a joke or light of something that's very painful. But at some point, like, it doesn't become a joke anymore. It becomes a standard and a characteristic that you've ascribed to the person that you're with. Yeah. And so if you don't want to choose to forgive that person, then you need to do the decent thing and either go through a period of separation or you may have to look at divorce because actually the Bible gives grounds for divorce in an adultery. So, and really it's if you can't move forward, Jesus says, God gave it to Moses and he gives it to us because you humans can't move forward and understand forgiveness at the level God can. So therefore you do have an ability to step away from a marriage that you're in if there's some type of adultery, which I think there are some broader lenses within that too, like abuse and abandonment, and that's for another date. But you look at that and you say, someone says, they go from a point of joking and calling them cheater or always bringing it up. Like, yeah, you cheat. Oh, you like that girl? Yeah, you're going to cheat on her with me. And they're kind of maybe using that humor to try to heal and whatever. But at some point, they're going to ascribe that personality trait to that person. And at some point, that person who did make a grievous mistake that they should have never done, and they should have never even, they hurt that person. But for you to say, hey, I'm going to forgive you, at some point, you're going to have to absolve that person from what they did, because if you don't, then it's going to be hurting you more than anything. But it hurts the relationship.
Yeah,
the relationship cannot move forward until you make the decision. And it's like, well, how do I do that? Well, you have to stop picking at the scab.
Right.
You have to, couples we've sat with, we say, hey, you have to get to a point where outside of counseling, you don't talk about the affair anymore.
Right.
You're not allowed to joke about it. You're not allowed to bring it up. You don't talk about it with your friends anymore. Pick one or two friends that only when you need the advice, because you're hurting, not because you need to just talk about how much of a piece of crap they are or whatever, but like you're processing pain in that moment. You have some type of grief in the moment about it. Well, you call that one trusted friend that you could just, hey girl, I'm hurting, or hey bro, I'm hurt, man. I'm remembering what my wife did. Yeah, man, let's talk about that. Or you go sit with your counselor. Let's talk about it. Outside of those boundaries, if you choose, and I'm not talking about like you're 2 weeks away from an affair. I'm talking about like you're a year, 2 years, 3 years away from an affair or an adultery. And for all intents and purposes, you don't see that attitude exhibiting in your spouse anymore. Well, you have to get to a point where you say, hey, I'm going to have to remove that sin from my vocabulary. And for her being, I don't know what she said, 6 or 7 years away from that moment, but even writing us still multiple times bringing it up, like to me, the pain is very fresh. So, but there could be a couple reasons why. Either she's looking for him to prove her loyalty, which the average man does not read between the lines. They do what you tell them. Yep. They're very black and white. So if you say, hey, I need your help today, they're going to cut the lawn. They're going to, like, they don't know what that means. But if you're like, hey, I need your help today. I need you to pack the kids' lunch, and I need you to help me put their sports stuff in the trunk. Do those 3 things. You do whatever you want the rest of the day. They're like, oh, okay, it's 3 things. That's what I have to do. It's very black and white. So, but ladies tend to, because they talk back and forth and they provide feedback. It's like, hey, I need you help today. Oh, girl, what do you need? Oh, I need blah, 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 blah. Oh, well, I can also do this for you if you want. And they play this like ping pong of like, how can we help each other out? Well, men don't talk like that. Yeah. If I went to Aaron and I was just like, yo, bro, you think you could help me at church today? He'd be like, okay, yeah, what's up? And he'd show up and I'd be like, man, pull up. And you're going to pull up and then you're going to stand there until I tell you, oh, we're stacking these chairs right now. Oh, bet. Okay. And then I go in. But if he pulls up and he sees people stacking chairs, he won't go, oh, I think that's what he wants me to do. Guys don't necessarily think that way. Some guys do, but most don't. So in this case, like a lot of times, if you're saying, oh, I still hold him accountable for what he did, and I'm really looking for him to heal me of that and show me that he won't do it again, to him, he's going, you know what I'll do? I'll just stay in the house. I'll go to the basement. I'll play the PlayStation. Because I'm in the house playing the PlayStation,
I'm the problem, so I'll get out your way.
I'll get out of your way, and I'll stay within an ear's distance.
Yeah.
So that's why for him, he could be just staying out of your way, but being in your eyesight, so you can't call him a cheater again. And so he's near, but he's in his own world, so that he won't get in trouble again. Like that could be, again, we're like shooting at, we're shooting dice right now, darts to try to just help and give advice in certain angles, right?
So what I've told married couples that have gone through similar experiences is it's complex because your spouse will break your heart, but your spouse can't heal your heart.
Yeah.
So in this case, what is he going to do to make up for what he did?
He don't gotta make up.
Can't.
And he don't have to make up for what he did. He gotta ask for forgiveness. He's gotta repent.
You married him. That was the day that you forgave him.
Yeah, that's where I was so confused. Like, she married him after. So I'm kind of like, you did not have to marry him.
Right. And that's what
Because
the open question too is like, how old were you guys? I want to know that.
But even the action of marrying him can, like, I don't want to say you sounded like men are narrow-minded, but like, but like her action of marrying him after that can come across as like,
we're good.
We're good.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely communicate.
That's what I'm saying.
Communicates that.
Right. That's what it
Absolutely.
communicates.
Like, I
so
accept you.
maybe in his mind, like, okay, we went past that, but clearly in her mind it hasn't. She needs to go to forward.
Yeah.
So I have a comment to make about that from what you guys said earlier. Hey, this happened years ago. You had the opportunity to leave. You should have left. That doesn't exempt the person from forgiveness, though.
Right.
Because even if you leave that person, but you haven't forgiven,
still
you'll
dealing
take
with
that
it.
trauma
For sure.
to your next relationship.
It happens all the time.
And you expect that other person to make up
and
for
mend
what
that. Yeah, absolutely. And let's just say he's somehow listening to us and watching us, and let's say his concerns are legitimate, right? We put in there maybe it's a scapegoat. We threw that out there with his concerns about her hygiene and smell and how she takes care of herself. And we said maybe there's something else. But let's just say on his side, that is the case. Like for her, if she just cleaned that up, like he would be good and he would re-engage her in a romantic sense, which apparently that's what she's desiring. Well, here's what I would say to him. My wife is naturally has masculine tendencies in her personality. Ashlee is not necessarily. There are elements to it, but she's not like a girl's girl. She's not, she's not prim and proper. Ashlee's a little rough around the edges and, stuff like that. So like, and
you told me I stank before.
No, I know. That's what I'm getting to. So, and also her nickname when she was in soccer is Stink.
Stinky butt.
Yeah, Stink.
Stinky butt.
So
I sweat. You sweat
so
a lot.
much.
Yeah. But go ahead, baby.
No, but you work out for 3 hours. I saw you.
Right. Yeah, I know. Yeah, she'd be grinding, bro.
But the eye
see her work out?
The eye contact in the mirror was fierce.
It's like life and death.
I was like,
it's
and I was
scary.
like, do I need to update my workout plans? Like I feel so intimidated.
Do you do personal training?
Yeah.
Stand here.
Yeah. Talk about like a ego sore. Like if I'm gonna do anything athletic with my wife, like most men will be like, oh, I gotta go easy on my wife if I do this. There's always a thing in me that's like, she could beat me right now. and we're always like 50-50. Like we play tennis, I win some, she wins some. Pickleball, I win some. Basketball, blah blah. It's like, but I'm like, anyways, it's like I can't be just like totally macho around her. But let her find a spider and she's standing on the couch and babe, save me. Yeah. But anyways, on her case, like they're like. When I met Ashlee, she didn't really wear perfume. She didn't, she didn't do like a bunch of stuff. Like maybe she did her like not really makeup.
Like mascara was it?
Yeah, and just like she didn't really go shopping. She wore when she would go to bed, she wore XXX like soccer
Are you
shirts.
Describing Erica Lee?
Yeah. So then what I did was at first I took the approach like, okay, first I'm going to start bringing it up to her.
Yeah.
So like, hey, like, maybe you should go buy some perfume and like, maybe you should like, hey, maybe you shouldn't, maybe try wearing like more feminine pajamas.
Tell me what perfume
was like Britney Spears. Yeah.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Marshalls. $20.
Yeah. So she would go to Marshall's, get the Britney Spears joint. And so I like maybe he's doing it a different way, but I would make suggestions on hygiene and taking care of herself and yada, yada. And Ashlee would just be like, no, it's not me. It's not whatever. So then what I started doing was I was just like, well, okay, like I'm going to buy it for her and I'm going to see. So I started buying her pajama sets that were more feminine, and I started, buying her perfume, and like so.
To a whole bed of pajamas that Aaron said, no more big T-shirts and stuff.
That's what I'm saying. And then around my accountability, like one day with Nathan and Sanaz, I'm jokingly look at her. I'm like, if you wear one more XXX T-shirt to bed, I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm not hanging out with my boy like when I go to bed.
And
like,
then the next day, I went to CrossFit and I went in a XXX T-shirt. They took a picture of me and posted it, and I was like, "You let me look like that?" He's like, "What are you talking about?"
I'm like, you look like it all the time. So, it's like, so I buy her body oils. I take her to Kiehl's and like, hey, you should get this. And I take her to Aesop and I'm like, hey, you should wear this type of lotion. And like, cause she's going to Bed Bath and Beyond and she's buying, Hawaiian eucalyptus, blah, blah, blah. So she's smelling like a Christmas tree half the year with Christmas, like spearmint, body lotion. And I'm like, hey, I'm not married to a stripper or something like that. How about
clack, clack.
Yeah. Like I don't need a seasonal scent when it comes to you. Like so,
but here's the thing: you're providing leadership because you're not just bringing problems to the table.
Yeah. So for the husband
that's what I'm saying. I started first vocalizing, and then when I found she wasn't catching it, and second of all, she didn't have a desire.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So what I started doing was asking my friends, like in our family, Nathan or Sanaz or myself, like, hey, you gonna get her something for her birthday? If she don't want anything, just get her a nice perfume. Just get her something, like, because that's gonna force her out of her comfort zone, and she's gonna have, now Ashlee has like this nice little collection, and when we go on, we have this thing like what we do because, for you it's sound. So when you go on vacation, you pick like some songs and you hear songs and you make a playlist. When we go on vacation, within the first 2 days of the vacation, and you know this about us, we go and buy a new perfume and cologne, and then we wear that the whole week, so that if we're ever missing that vacation, we wore that cologne all week and perfume all week, so that we can put it on, and it's like, oh, I feel like I'm back in Paris, or I feel like I'm in New York again, or whatever. So because scent is connected to memory more than memories themselves. So like just looking at what you're seeing or hearing what you're seeing. So there's things like that. I'm making exciting things around something that was not naturally her inclination, and bringing somewhat of a playfulness and a respect, though, to her personhood. Yeah. Not to make her feel
I was never offended.
Yeah, like I'm devaluing, or I never said anything in an ugly or a mean way. It was just like, Ashlee knows, like, I'm big on taking showers. Like, if you had a long day, like, you need to go take a shower. If you're gonna lay in bed, you need to go take a shower. And Ashlee be like, oh, it's not me, I'm fine with that. Like, she'll kind of roll over and try to give me a kiss. I'll be like, you need to go take a shower. Like, I'm just like a very clean person. So there are times I'll be like, hey, you need to update, you need to shave your armpits or whatever. Like, be like, but there's been enough like she knows I love her. I'm trying to look after her as best as possible. And so when it didn't work with my words, then I started stepping in, and I just, Fashion Nova would be at the door. She's like, what's that? I'll be like, oh, it's just some new pajamas I got you, if you want to wear them, because it's like, I'm not trying to, don't do it just for me.
But I have a question regarding, because Aaron has done the same thing. Like, he'll tell me and tell me and tell me. And it's not that I don't catch it. It's just, I do a lot of stuff and I forget. And so it's just not on the priority list sometimes. How, well, it's related to the question. It takes initiative, right? It requires a man to actually desire to have their woman. So at this point, how does a man in that circumstance, in this situation that we just read, where he's just, we don't know the context on his end.
Yeah.
How can someone as a male get to that point when for 6 years you've felt not rejected, but, a certain type of way towards your partner?
Well, engage her with what she's possibly asking for too, which is a little bit of romance. So if you want her to go get fit, if you live near us, if you're in the Inland Empire at all, but people listen to us all over, but go and find a friendly hiking trail and just be like, hey, you want me to spend time? I want you to get more fit, care about your body. Let's go for a walk. Mm-hmm. Like let's go to Claremont Loop. Let's go get fit, or let's get a sitter. Let's go to the gym together. And you as a man, you may be like, I don't want to do that. I want my own time. Go get your own time another time. If you want to engage your wife.
For sure.
And you want to work on this marriage, because not everybody does, but if you want to work on this marriage and you want a healthy marriage, then meet what she wants, which she seems to be looking for some quality time and care from your end, and then encourage her with what you want, which could be something else, but what you're saying is her hygiene, her going to the gym, taking care of herself. Then encourage her to do that. Go rent bikes. Go on a bike ride. Like, meet her where she wants. Meet it together, and then be like, "Hey, that wasn't that bad. Going on a bike ride. You should maybe do it tomorrow by yourself." And sometimes she might be like, "Yeah, I guess I could do it," you know. And but it's gonna take, like you said, it's gonna take energy and investment. You know, as long as I spent trying to get Ashlee to care about what I care about is years. But now on the opposite side of it, it is very much second nature to her in the stuff that I care about. Like, every day she's leaving the house, she's putting some type of perfume on. She's, you know, like, she's not wearing XXX stuff. Sometimes she does, which is cool. I'm cool with that. I'm not asking for, you know, I'm not trying to be a romance novel every single day. I'm just looking for a good balance where you embrace your femininity while also you just being comfortable from having a long day with the kids or whatever. Like, at least let me feel like there's some work being put in on both sides. In which, for me, I feel like with her, she's looking for me to put work in certain areas. Not every time, but at least like, hey, just meet me halfway.
And I would ask this question, just obviously for the gentleman, because you are saying that as well, and it's just in your nature. Men are more visual.
For sure.
So for her feeling like not wanting to work out, like you said, work out for yourself, but then also know that there was a reward at the end of that, because your husband is a visual. So if he sees something and he sees something that he likes, continue doing that. Like, that was the whole thing. Like, but the fact that you liked that, like, I tried to continue doing that, or at least incorporate it, like you said, just because I know you are visual. There are certain times, too, where I will, because you know I work out so much, I'll look at myself in the mirror and be like, would he like this? Only because I know I'm very masculine. I have high cortisol. My muscles pop out more. So I'm like, is this feminine or masculine? Does my husband like that? But then I reflect and I say, but I know I look good. And so that's for me. Like, and I look in the mirror and I said, I think I look good, so I'm content with the way I look. And if my husband wants to get bench pressed on these muscles, he can.
Hey, do you ever look in this mirror and just like let your veins get jacked and your traps?
I always walk by as a nurse and I was like,
I do that too.
I could stick a needle in those veins. So.
Oh, God.
Like a vampire.
Yeah. Okay. So two things.
Ooh, I want to draw your blood right now, girl.
What kind of kinky nurse stuff? But, okay, you said two things that I think are very important that answers your question.
Yeah.
You talked about your security and how you look already. Then you have to trust your husband to have a desire to give him what he wants. To give him the freedom to be able to say, wear this, try this, do this, because there's relational influence based upon trust. So to answer your question, a man has to be humble enough to know, my wife don't trust me at this time. I don't have the influence at this time.
But after, and I'm going to go back to like 6 years, like, I'm sorry, after that long, like, I would be frustrated if I was in his shoes. Like,
absolutely.
Right,
but I'm just,
like,
all I'm doing is just answering your question at face value.
And on the other side, there are other elements that he may be putting it all in one category. But like for me, when we first got married, Ashlee put on that happy marriage weight. And at one point in our marriage, she weighed more than me.
Yes.
You know? Not more than what I am right now, but what I was then, which I was like 220 pounds. She weighed more than me. And so she would wear these like kimonos, and she would wear all these things. And I told her one day,
you will never find a picture, girl.
And then I told her one day, because she's like, are you attracted? Like one day she's just insecure, and she's like, are you attracted to me? I said, I'm not attracted to you because you don't like you.
Yes.
That's the problem.
That was the response.
If you liked you, because with you putting on weight also came with you being lazy with yourself. You're letting your hair grow out longer in areas you normally don't, your armpits or whatever. You're not washing your clothes as much, and you're just throwing clothes on from yesterday and blah, blah, blah. So in your laziness, I am losing a physical attraction to you. My love for you hasn't changed. but my physical attraction has changed. And I told her, I don't need you to lose weight. I just need you to embrace who you are. Stop hiding yourself. Come home. Stop making us turn off the lights when we have sex. Like, just own where you're at right now. And I'm telling you right now, you don't need to lose weight for me to be all on you. I just need you to care about you. And so potentially for him, like, he's putting it all in batched. Like, you're not caring for yourself, and you're not in the gym, you're not in this and this. Is for her, it could also just be like, find a new refreshed confidence in yourself.
Yes.
And your husband just may be reinvigorated in a very fresh new way, that then you finding a habit to go to your mother. You're like, to have the schedule to go to the gym and, you know, like, it just not be a reality for you right now. You got kids, you got to, so to say, hey, throw on an hour of working out a day. Okay. That may sound like an impossible feat for her, but to just say, hey, why don't you, like, you know, just like go throw some clothes away and start finding a love for yourself again, take care of yourself and all that stuff like that. And then your husband will see that kick in your step, and then he'll be like, oh, he'll come, you know, wear something tight, even though you don't feel good in it, wear something tight and let him come around and grab you a little bit and touch you a little bit, you know, like, and I don't know where her figure is at, but in regards to, I know for me with her, she was she was overweight in the sense that what she wanted, and she wasn't confident. And so for me, it just wasn't fun. Sex wasn't fun. Going out with her wasn't fun because it was all about, how do I have to hide this? And I just be like, let's not even go out. Like, you don't even, and she's like, no, I want to go on a date night. And I'm like, but I'm going to hear half the time and how you don't need that cake because you're overweight and you don't need, it's like, it's not going to be fun. Like, let's just, if we're going to go out, let's have fun. Yeah. Let's eat. Like, I don't need to hear from you, oh, these pants used to fit or whatever. Like, if you want to share it with me, great, but don't let it be in a place where you're losing confidence in yourself and then you cause me to, you're forcing me to look at parts of you and sides of you that I'm not even looking at. I don't even want to, like, I'm a guy. I'm not looking at all of your imperfections, right? I'm just trying to love you for you. So find that, and then, you know, that might be something in the marriage. Obviously, we're shooting at targets, you know, talking to this couple.
I know,
but
that's why I
you
feel
know,
like I'm like.
but I was in that place. I was in that place with her in terms of her care for herself in the hygiene sense, not just hygiene, but really just like embracing the femininity, self-care, and then in the same sense of her, like her not being confident in a season with her weight, that I was there. I was in his shoes, and I had to help lead. Again, every man is responsible to lead his home. So if he's not, step one, you know, and the way you gotta, if you've never led your home, the way you gotta start leading your home is with the good things that leadership entails, not the bad things. So good way of leadership is, what is my spouse asking for me right now that I can start leading in? Then you leading in course correcting personality or budget or whatever, like that's got to come a few months later, once you earned her respect again, in a way that she can trust you again with everything else in the home, right? So those are just some thoughts I have.
Yeah, no, that's really good. It's just really hard, like you said, like we're filling in the gaps.
Yeah, I feel like there's so much missing. Like a whole other side missing.
Sure, yeah.
It's, I wonder if we'd get, if he would kind of get the gist of who we're talking about, right? Can your husband
respond? People are smart. They'll catch stuff.
His husband would be like, wait, what?
But here's what I found doing marriage counseling is, for couples that don't want to be healthy, even when they give you how everything is 100%, if they don't want to be healthy, they're going to come up with a new reason on why that person's failing.
Absolutely.
So within us addressing their question, if they really want it, then they'll be able to read between the lines. Like we threw a whole bucket of paint at the wall, and so there's enough stuff in the tree they can pull from. But and if they want it, there's some steps they can do to just kind of
because I think we gave
getting healthy.
Great perspectives on both sides, from the what could be from the woman's side and what could be from the male side. It wasn't one where you always say, like, how the woman came in to our counseling session and she thought we were about to beat down on the husband, and we're looking at her like, girl, this is you. The issue is you.
Well, and the problem was, and I always ask them when I'm with a married couple, is, what do you want to get out of this? First thing I ask, and then the husband said, I want a healthier relationship with my wife. The wife said, I want you to tell us that my husband is wrong, so that he knows how wrong he's been. And not to bash on that. That was this isn't just one case that has happened to. It's either been flipped where it's the husband saying that or the wife said that. But like in that case, you just go, and I tell them, we're not going to be able to get anywhere until you guys can agree what you want out of this. if you can't agree with it, then we're kind of wasting all each other's time if we don't want it, you know.
Situations I've been in like that is if I emphasize all the wrong that the other person's done, I don't have to change. And then here's another thing you've done wrong. Here's another thing. Okay. So all the work is on that person, and then it's like, no, not yet. No, that's okay.
Right.
Not yet. So I want you to tell me I'm right. Yeah. But that's not marriage.
Right.
But believe it or not, for sure. But believe it or not, the amount of couples that we sit down that is the answer. I want you to tell my wife that she's wrong. I want you to tell my husband that they're wrong. And they think
that's court. That's not.
It's court. In court, and they also think that it's more elementary school. Because right now, for Matthias, all he's ever concerned with is what is right and wrong. Because that's what he's learning right now. What's right? What's wrong? You know, Daddy, is this right or is this wrong? Is it because he knows each one comes with punish. If it's wrong, it comes with like a consequence. So he's concerned with but Mom, I didn't do that. Thomas did that. It's just tell whoever's wrong is going to get in trouble. Whoever's right is going to be safe. But if you take that into marriage and you're just like, I just need to be right and they need to be wrong. Then it's you're gonna stop at third grade marriage. You know, like it has a cap, right?
Like
When did we go to Raw Sushi? Was that the beginning of this year?
I believe so, yes.
Me and Ashlee's first kiss was at a Raw Sushi.
Oh.
10 years ago.
Yeah, it lasted from a bench to the car. And then on the car.
Y'all walk tonguing to
I carried her. No.
We did pit stops on the way there.
Yeah. Like, give me one more.
Okay,
let's close. Tell us with Raw Sushi. I want the Raw Sushi story last.
Yeah, so we go to dinner. We're across from each other. She looks at me. She grabs my hand. She says, "What can I do this season to be a better wife for you?" That question screams safety. Because now I'm welcome to share what I need. And now she has leverage to share what she needs. Yeah. So I think that's where it starts. Okay, what can I do to help this marriage? Okay, how about this, and that? And then naturally, when you're in love, well, what can I do?
Yeah.
All right, let's work on that. Bet.
Yeah.
You
But
see,
that's a conversation. I don't know if these people are talking to each other, which, you know.
Well, more than likely they're not, but this is good. These are good anecdotes that help people see what could be on the horizon, because I don't think none of us ever lead with the impression to say, hey, we started doing that day one when we got married, right?
No.
So just imagine Aaron, year one of marriage, hearing what he just said from someone else. Just what makes you want to roll your eyes and be like, oh gosh, it's like a Lifetime movie. Like, shut up, it's Hallmark, But it's like, oh look, you're years, decades down the line, and you're like, oh, that couple's doing that, and so I think it just shows people a trail of tears that helps people see, like, okay, well, they didn't start doing that day one, so at some point, if we both level up and we both want this, we could get to that point.
For sure.
And Erica wasn't saying it in wanting to get her point across because she already knew what she needed from you.
No.
It was a very transparent. So that's what I want to make clear too, is when we're asking.
It wasn't strategy.
Exactly. That can't be a conversation of a back end door to
I did
sideswipe you.
XYZ.
Like,
Yes.
Or I'm gonna ask him so that he better ask it back, because I got some things.
Right. Most of the time, I know Adam and I have even done that conversation, and I was like, and I'll ask him, and I'm like, don't ask me. I don't need nothing. I was genuinely wanting to know what I can do better because I've been acting a daggone fool. But from you, like, you know what I mean? So I think sometimes it can be one-sided, because it is like, no, I'm happy, but I know that whatever it is in this season, I may have been tired from hormones. I have the 2 kids. I'm exhausted. So I even know lately, like, Adam's like, you're going to bed so early with the boys. And I'm like, bro, I'm tired.
Yeah.
But in that moment, I heard, I want to spend my time with my wife when the boys go to bed. That's what I heard. Him saying, you're going to bed early with the boys. He wasn't nagging. He wasn't saying it negatively. He was just like, man, you've been going to bed early a lot lately. And so then I'm like, yeah, I'm tired. And so then the past couple of days, I've been like, 11:30 stretch in the morning. I'm like, ugh.
And I think it's a good conversation to have frequently because like seasons change. We go, you know, through work and
absolutely
kids get a different new age, new activities.
It would never be consistent.
Yeah. And we've always just said we probably started it our maybe, I don't know, third year of marriage or something like that.
Yeah.
We just, at that time, now we don't do it as frequent, but about once a month we'd go to dinner and we'd ask the question, how can I be a better husband? How can I be a better wife? And we didn't have the conversation at home where it's a safe space, and we'd be at a restaurant, we'd ask it and be like, okay, I'm gonna work at that. I'm gonna do better. And one of the most resounding ones that I think we had that stuck out to me that wouldn't really have stuck out to her was when I just provided her feedback and I said, you know, I think you're struggling with the idea that we're a family now.
No, that's the one that sticks out to me the most.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Then it was the one where I told her, she's like, hey, how can I be a better wife? And I said, well, it's not really about you, but it involves you. I was like, I think you're struggling with the idea that you and I are a family now, and your family, your mom, your family, your siblings, they are in your life, but they are not your immediate family anymore. I am your immediate family. And I think you're struggling with the separation of those two because I think you view them on an equal playing field. I think you have to make your family happy while making Adam happy. And actually you have to make Adam happy and your family comes. Your parents, your siblings, they come second after me. And because you said I do, and that meant the Bible says that you leave your mother and father, you leave and cleave, and you become one. I think that in theory you agree to that, but in practice it doesn't look that way. And she was just like, yeah, I think you're spot on. And obviously I knew them my whole life, and you know, we have traditions and things and that, and we just dialogued like, what could that look like? And she's like, yeah, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go talk to my mom and blah 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 blah. And it like stuck out to me like, man, it's great because it was something I wanted to say for a little bit, but I'm like, man, I'm on an equal level as her family. If I share that, like, for sure, she could like this could blow up in my face. But when she responded and was like, no, I could see that, and I'm gonna evaluate how I can do better at that. And you know, years down the line, she has a great relationship with her family that they see each other weekly, but I would. Now I know what her priorities are, and I respect that as a husband because I know that I could trust her and she could trust me with what is. But that was through hard work, you know, like that doesn't come out of thin air. So anyone who sees that goes like, man, that's beautiful. I'm gonna go take my wife out or my husband. I'm gonna tell him that. It's like you gotta grow to that moment because we probably were doing that model for maybe 3 years before I actually which I had felt that way from, you know. But it was just like we got to build this momentum to hit to something. I've talked about it not on this podcast, probably beyond the letter, but in her web of values, if a spider webs, the wider they're at, the easier they are to break. But the more center a spider web is, that's its strongest point. And so you have to be careful with your spouse. Like if you're going to shoot from the hip, if that's in their center, if that's in the center of their values, then you're going to really hurt them and they're going to start closing off. Yeah. But if you start picking at, like, if you just, your first time you go sit with your spouse to say, how can I do better? Just pick one thing that's like a little small that you could kind of like make that change. Then you go, okay, like we could slowly get deeper and deeper. But sometimes couples be like, we're going to do that. And they go the next day and they're like, it didn't go well because we ended up sleeping in separate rooms. Like, well, what'd you do? I told her that she sucks. I told her blah, blah, blah. I told her, like, well, you went a little too heavy, my man.
Stinking butt.
Yeah.
Shower.
Which it sounds like for maybe this couple, it's like every time they talk, it's always an atomic, not talk, but maybe every time they fall into this argument, it's an atomic bomb. Yeah. He's hitting her below her waist. She's bringing up his adultery. He's bringing up her self-care, her smell, her weight. And so they're just hitting each other in the heart every time. Because what happens is at some point you want to see, does my spouse feel anything towards me? And when you're doing respond? How do and if you just talk about them cleaning up the house or whatever, it doesn't get a spark from them. So you don't think they care. So like, let me go for the jugular. Let me bring up that past affair. Oh, there's your feelings. You're angry, you're crying, or that's what I wanted. I wanted to see that you cared. And that's what happens in a marriage. Like you end up becoming so desensitized that the only way you can get your spouse to interact is just hit below the belt. And when you do that, well, guess what? When you do that, the path forward to heal and become healthy again is going to be that much harder. Because you're going to have to be able to express like, Like, I won't do that again.
Yeah.
You could trust me with your heart. I'm not going to bring up your insecurity again. You know, like I'll leave that in the past. So,
Yeah, no.
you know,
That was good.
all right.
Yeah.
Thanks for submitting that question.
Hopefully
Hopefully it helps a little bit. And
I
it's a good
hope
one.
so.
I know, right?
Go,
And if
go
you-
forward.
Yeah, right. And if you listen again, give us more details.
Yeah, if you're part of our church or any, not every church does some sort of deliverance ministry, but yeah, you want, you know, there's books out there and stuff like that. You want to look at healing God's way, you know, not physically, but emotionally. And
Yeah.
I don't even know the answer. Is there like a healing God's way type book? I'm definitely not the right author for that, but like a forward in book form, not, you know.
Off the top of my head, there's
Maybe we'll find that
We'll
one
get
day.
it. Get it. And tag
Don't
it
ask me to write it.
Yeah.
They'll put it in the notes.
Yeah, I'll put it in the notes in the comments below.
I don't have enough degrees to be able to write that book, so.
All right. Yeah, when you?
Yeah.
I don't like reading. So.
God
you're
bless
in
everybody.
school.
Thanks. I know she's in 9 schools right now.